Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Now, I always do that because I like to take it in. Okay, I like to take it in. That's why I just like to take it, scan the crowd. I just want to say it's an honor and a privilege to be here amongst my fellow Americans. And I don't take this lightly. There's no other place I'd rather be than here on a Saturday. And what a better day is on the Easter weekend, right? A resurrection weekend, for He is risen. And I always start this out. Who am I? Number one, I'm an American. I'm a Christian. Jesus is my King. I give Him the glory. I thank Him for keeping me over my 26 years in the military. And He's the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. I'm also a military veteran. 26 years. I'm also an oath keeper. I'm a proud American. I am not African American, surprise. I'm not African American. And the reason I say that is because I was born here in America. My great grandfather was born here back in the 1800s, late 1800s, around 1869, I believe it was. My grandfather was born around 1890 something. Now I was born in Fort McClellan, Alabama back in 1958. So I don't know where the African came from. I'm an American. My birth certificate says Negro. That's what it says. It doesn't say African American, it says Negro. It doesn't say black. So if you want to call me anything, you can call me Black American, you can call me Negro, or you can just plain call me American.
That works.
One of the greatest things they like to do to us is divide the people. A nation divided, the people divided will not stand. And so what they like to do, like to throw that racism card out. Because once you holler racism, it's like hollering fire inside a theater. Now, as long as our country been here, we should be so far past racism, it's pathetic. But in order to keep the people divided, you got to throw that racism card out. When all else fails, call out racism. Oh boy, people start backtracking. They start using terms like politically correct. They start using terms like, you're not with it. I'm with my fellow Americans, and I wonder why there's not more black people out here. I'm telling you right now. Why there's not more black people of color out here? Americans, together, united as one nation, under God. One nation, the most powerfulest nation in the world. The greatest nation in the world. I had the opportunity to go all over the Far East. I've been in Europe. I've been all over, but there's no place like America. Why do you expect so many people want to come to this country? There got to be something about this country. Why? Because we're the greatest nation in the world. And what kills me is they say, well, we want to be like the other countries, like Europe, like Asia, adopt some of theirs. Let me tell you something. I want to talk about the spiritual side and the natural side, okay? The spiritual side. Now, the Bible tells us that a generation is 10 years. When the people of Israel came out, when God delivered them out of Egypt into the promised land, they said it rose up a generation that did not know the works of the Lord, or the good thing they did to bring the people out of bondage. And so what we're seeing is the same thing happening now. We have a generation of kids that are growing up who don't know the Constitution, don't know the Declaration of Independence, don't know the Second Amendment. We are being dumbed down as a nation. In order to keep the people divided, you got to keep them dumbed down. The Bible tells us, train up a child in the way they should go, for when they get older, they will not depart from their ways. Now they're defining what a family is about. Now the governors are getting involved in the education of our children. They're having this stuff Common Core, and they do this to keep the kids and the families reunited. When you have parents say, well, I can't help you, son or daughter, because I can't understand that. So what happened is the government is training our children. Now what happened is that we're living in what I call American Idol type society. Keeping Up the Kardashian, the Housewives of Atlanta. That's right there is driving the kids. If you get 5 kids and sit them down, the first thing they pull out is their cell phones. The people are being divided, even in the schools. The parents not being involved in the school. Now, there should be more children out here at these gatherings. The kids need to be here. Because if we're not training the kids, who guess who's training the kids? It's the government. It's the government. They don't talk about the Constitution. They don't talk about the Bill of Rights. They talk about world history, world religion. They make it seem as a shame to be a Christian because you're radical, right-wing. I'll tell you something. I'm not ashamed of this glorious gospel. I'm not ashamed. What you see is what you're going to get. Period.
Amen.
People don't want to talk about these things. Now, being an American, I'm a patriot. I never thought I'd see the day when a patriot would be called a domestic terrorist. My God, have we gone this far in our country? When a patriot is called a domestic terrorist? When the first patriot, Bill talked about the Boston Massacre, one of the first patriots was Crispus Attucks, which was a black man. That was the first Tea Party patriot, right there. But you got a generation of kids who grow up don't know about these things. They don't know about the 54th that fought during the Civil War. They don't know these things. They don't know about the glorious country that they live in. We have an administration right now that say they want to transform our country, fundamentally transform. Let me tell you something. I never thought I'd see the day that I had to stand up here and say that I am afraid of our government. We're turning into a surveillance nation. I'm afraid of my own government. I'm afraid. I'm being honest, but y'all don't trust my government. When they tell you that you have to pass the bill in order to know what's in the bill, but the bill that's been passed, you begin to see what's coming out of the bill, and I tell you something. Oh yeah, by the way, you can keep your doctor and your insurance. I am not a crook. But then, people are just following it just like nothing. It's like strychnine poisoning. Just a little drop, a little drop, a little drop, a little drop. Then you're going to wake up one day, you're going to say, my God, what country am I living in? Over the last 8 years, I have seen this country change like I've never seen it change before. And I tell you, it frightens me. When my own daughter comes at, Daddy, you won't believe what they teach us in school about the alternative lifestyle. Let me tell you something. All I know is that the Bible says, therefore a man, it didn't say significant other, it didn't say she or it, it said, therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother and cleave unto his wife, and they should become one flesh. The definition of marriage is a man and woman. Period. No ifs, ands, or buts. Period. You can see this lifestyle change that's happening right now, where if I speak out against it, I am being intolerant. But the Bible says it's better to do what God says than what man says. And so I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to speak out. I'll treat my dollar. It's my responsibility to train up my child in the way they should go and not to depart from their ways. That's exactly what I'm doing. That we need to do that too. We're living in a society where the government is going to dictate, tell you what to wear, what to do, where to go, what you can't do. You can do this, but you can't do that. When the highest office in the nation, when a president lies to the people, you can't trust a liar. You can't trust a liar. He outright lied to the people. But you know what? He doesn't care. For the first thing I said, okay, so what? I lied. I'm sorry, my bad. And the people are going to still keep voting for it. Now what you see right here is America. To the people in Washington, we're a bunch of hunkies, crackers, Uncle Toms, right-wing radicals, religious zealots. That's what we are to Washington. But this right here is America. Our worst enemy is the news. ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN. That right there is our worst enemy. They control, they dictate, they write the script for the people to see. CNN, all they talked about all last week was the aircraft that got lost. They didn't talk about what's happening out there in Arizona, the Bundy Ranch. Only news that covered it was Fox, and they're beginning to turn. I'm beginning to even question them. So our best form of news is alternative news. We got to be aware. We got to be smart about this. Because I tell you what's going to happen. If the way you control a nation is the first thing you do is control the media. That's the first thing. When you go to invade, the first thing you do is control the media. Then you separate the people. Then you start feeding them what you want them to know. Then you call them brother against brother. And they're doing it right now. They're keeping the people in disarray. You'll never see me on the news, never. Because men like Colonel West and myself, you'll never see us on the news. They won't put us on the news because you know what? Because they don't want the people to know. The analogy I like to use is the Matrix. When Morpheus say, Neil, you have the blue pill in your left hand. And in the right hand is the red pill. It's kind of funny that the blue is a Democratic party and the red is Republican party. He said, if you take the blue pill, you wake up in the morning, forget everything that was said, life goes on, just another day. But if you take the red pill, your eyes will be open and you chase that rabbit down a hole. And let me tell you something, ever since I took that red pill, I've been chasing that rabbit down a hole. Now, I was taught that the Democratic Party was the party of the people. But in reality is, history says the Republican Party is the party of the black man. The reason I say that is you got people like Sojourner Truth, who's a Republican. Then you had men like Frederick Douglass, who was an awesome orator, who didn't need a teleprompter, was a Republican. Dr. Martin Luther King was a Republican. But all of a sudden you had this paradigm shift back in the 60s. And when he started talking and stuff, I said, you better be careful because I was born in 58. I grew up during the civil rights movement. I know. But you will never see me on TV. Because Jesus said, therefore ye shall know the truth, and the truth will make you free. So what we have to come together as a nation and as a people and put our differences aside, because you know what? Racism been around since man has been on this planet, and it's not going nowhere. The best form is you got to educate the people. I have no enemies, none. You can't be everybody's friend. Everybody's not going to like you. But we had to go for this generation that is growing up now. We have to take back what the enemy has stolen from us. Because if we don't, our country right now is on the tipping point. We're on the tipping point. We're on a slope that's so slippery, we're hanging by our fingernails. These coming elections is the most important period in the history of our country. You have these executive orders that are being passed at a phenomenal rate. We got stuff being signed and passed in the dark and back rooms that will frighten the hell out of you. We have to get educated. We have to know what's going on in that government. We have to come together as the people. One more thing I want to say. We are not Europe. We're America. You take a look how they try and paint the picture. Benghazi was a spontaneous demonstration from a movie. 3 Americans died. They came with mortars and RPGs, machine guns, light heavy machine guns. That was caused by, it was just a spontaneous. You just walking by and said, oh, let's attack the consulate. Bring up the RPG teams and the mortars. Fort Hood, Texas was, I believe, 13 were killed, 29 wounded. Somebody was running through there hollering, something, whatever. That right there, Hassan Saddam, that was right there was workplace violence. Workplace violence. But then you go down to Texas, nobody got killed, nobody shot. Right there is called domestic terrorism. Really? Really?
Don't count for stupid.
We can't be stuck on stupid. So in closing, I want to say this. We live in the greatest country in the world. The greatest country in the world. We got to come together. We got to take back this country. We got to unite and stand as one. Because right now, we're this close to being in a European country.
Right.
You got to remember also, if they could send you can send federal agents there on federal land to catch around 900 cows. Why weren't you on the border stopping all these illegals coming through? Want to really do their job. Don't get hoodwinked. Don't get bamboozled. Know what's going on. Invite your friends. Invite your children. Be aware. Go to the school system. You see what they're teaching your kids. And don't take no for an answer. God bless America.